All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to uncover how creative roles and design thinking actually drive tangible, trackable business growth. For decades, there's been this massive divide in the corporate world. On one side, you've got the creatives. They're focused on aesthetics, narrative, and user experience. On the other side, you have the executives, laser-focused on spreadsheets, metrics, and shareholder value. Well, today, we are going to bridge that gap completely.
Now, you might be wondering, can you measure the exact dollar value of good design? A lot of folks still think design is just about making things look pretty, something purely subjective and impossible to quantify. But we are going to challenge that myth head-on. The data actually proves that assumption is totally wrong. We're going to look at the undeniable link between great design and massive shareholder value.
To get to the bottom of this, we'll follow a macro to micro funnel. First, the creative visionary. Second, the ROI of design. Third, bridging design and business. Fourth, designing for conversions. And finally, tracking design success.
Okay, part 1, the creative visionary. Let's start at the very top of the funnel to see exactly who creates the overarching vision that drives all this measurable value.
Think about the role of a creative director. The crucial point here is that they aren't just making things look pretty. They are strategically aligning a brand's narrative with real market relevance across every single customer touchpoint. Whether they are in advertising, film, or web development, they basically act as the ultimate project manager for a brand's identity. They translate high-level commercial goals into a language that designers, copywriters, and artists can actually execute on.
And what's incredibly cool is how this role adapts seamlessly across entirely different industries. Take a fashion creative director. They might not sew a single garment, but they decide the entire overarching concept for a label season. Contrast that with video games, where legends like Shigeru Miyamoto act as the prime design authority, bridging the gap between hardcore computer programming and fine art. The medium changes, sure, but that mastery of guiding cross-functional teams toward a single, compelling product, that stays exactly the same.
Moving right along to part 2, the ROI of design. We know who is leading the charge, but what happens when a company truly empowers these creative visionaries at an organizational level?
228%. Just let that sink in for a second. This staggering number from the DMI Design Value Index represents the stock performance advantage that design-centric companies hold over a 10-year period. They track the value of publicly held U.S. companies that met strict design management criteria, and the results were, frankly, explosive.
Visualizing this data really puts things into perspective. Design-led organizations, we're talking heavyweights like Apple, Coca-Cola, Ford, Nike, and Starbucks, massively outperform the standard S&P index. Over a 10-year stretch, while the standard S&P index grew steadily, the DMI Design-Centric Index absolutely soared, creating that 228% performance advantage. This proves without a doubt that investing in design is not just some marketing expense. It is a profound driver of wealth creation.
Which brings us to part 3, bridging design and business. How do these massive companies actually connect their creative output to those jaw-dropping financial charts?
Well, according to the DMI study, assigning measurable value directly to design's performance is one of the true hallmarks of market-leading companies. Basically, top-tier organizations completely eliminate the communication gap between creatives and managers by integrating design directly into traditional corporate tracking tools. They don't treat design as some mysterious, untouchable magic. Instead, they map design values directly onto tools like the balanced scorecard. This finally gives executives and creative directors a shared vocabulary.
So how do you do it? It comes down to a concrete 5-step framework. This system provides a stabilizing anchor. Notice that you don't start with the design. You start with step 1, defining your business strategy and results. Only then do you ask in step 2, what is design's role in delivering those specific results? This grounds the entire creative process in commercial reality, allowing you to select highly practical metrics to actually measure success.
Okay, let's pivot to part 4, designing for conversions. Now we're zooming in from the macro enterprise level all the way down to the micro tactical execution of these principles on a single digital page.
Here's the absolute foundational rule of digital conversion: focus. Instead of trying to optimize your homepage for absolutely all of your keywords, you need to optimize specific landing pages for each target phrase. A massive mistake businesses make is sending all their social media and paid ad traffic straight to their homepage. Let's be real, a homepage is just a broad directory. It's overwhelming. A conversion-optimized landing page, however, is a targeted strike. It answers a single problem for a single type of visitor.
This gives us an incredibly actionable SEO playbook. You want your target keyword in that 70-character title tag, in your meta description, in your H2 and H3 body headers, and even in your image file names and ALT text. For example, putting your keyword in the meta description doesn't necessarily boost your raw rank, but search engines will bold that keyword in the results, instantly grabbing the searcher's eye. It ensures that when a human visitor scans the page, they know they're in the exact right place.
Now, here is a brilliantly counterintuitive tactic. Place your social sharing buttons on the thank you page, not the main landing page. Think about it. You work so hard to get a visitor to your site. The last thing you want is for them to see a shiny Facebook or Twitter icon, click away to check their feed, and completely forget to fill out your form. Secure the conversion first. Then, when they are feeling great about their purchase or subscription on the thank you page, that's when you ask them to share it with their network.
And that leads us perfectly into Part 5, Tracking Design Success. Let's look at exactly how we measure the success of these optimized designs and bringing us right back to hard, measurable data.
It all comes down to adding UTM parameters to your landing page URLs. By doing this, you track the exact origin of your visitors right in Google Analytics. It completely removes the guesswork. Using a URL builder tool to attach these little tags to your links means your dashboard will neatly group all your traffic. You'll know definitively if a conversion came from a specific Facebook ad or a LinkedIn post, allowing you to double down on the designs and copy that are actually winning.
From there, analyzing your data is the final piece of the puzzle. You set up specific goals for conversions, trace the exact steps your visitors take, analyze your traffic sources, and compare your A/B testing performance. By tracing the visitors' steps, you can identify exactly where they are dropping off. This lets you run highly targeted A/B tests, maybe changing the color of a button or tweaking a headline, and then looking at the hard data to see which version actually put more money in the bank.
So I want to leave you with one final thought to evaluate your own organization. Is your design a service or is it a strategic driver? The research clearly shows companies fall into a few camps. If you aren't actively measuring your design, from the overarching vision of your creative director all the way down to the UTM parameters on your landing pages, you are literally leaving enterprise value on the table. Are you treating design like window dressing, or are you measuring it like the massive growth engine it has the potential to be?